Get ready for sports, news, and entertainment. All right here, your 7 minutes with Simmons starts right now.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to 7 Minutes with Simmons. I'm your host, Christian, as always, showing up late. That's, I guess, the whole idea of this podcast is we try to make a daily episode, and then I get lost in the wilderness, and I come back 3 days later, and I say, I am so happy to be back, which I always am, but this is getting ridiculous. I apologize. Crazy weekend for myself working in the ice cream industry. We have what's called Summerfest happening this weekend in Font Hill, and it's keeping me incredibly busy. I worked 10 hours yesterday, going to be at 12 today, another 12 tomorrow. So really all over the place this weekend. I wanted to get a podcast out today. It's not going to be the best of podcasts, but I'm going to make it interesting for you. Let's tell you a story about yesterday. I'm dipping, if anybody's worked scooping ice cream before, maybe you'll relate to me on this one. There's something that happens when you scoop ice cream at an aggressive pace. Like, I'm talking about you're moving, like your wrist starts cramping. You're really giving her in the dipping cabinet. And what'll happen is you put all of your weight, all of your force into that one scoop with your right hand. And something that, really bothers me, it hurts, man. This stuff hurts, is when it slips. Like, let's say you got your scoop into that vanilla ice cream. This stuff is hard as a rock. You're pulling it towards you, and all of a sudden the scoop slips out of the ice cream and your hand goes flying. Happened to me yesterday. My hand slams into the stainless steel container the vanilla ice cream was in, and I got a golf ball sized knuckle on my pointer finger. And I don't know how I'm going to get through today's shift, but we're going to work it through. It's just awful, man. It's so painful, but crazy out there in Summerfest. I don't know if anybody listening to this podcast lives in Font Hill. If you do, be sure to come on down today. Fantastic. Just, they've closed the whole strip. It's right there on, I believe it's Maple Street. I could be wrong. I can double check on that one, but just a nice atmosphere. You got the food vendors, you got the live music on the stage, people walking around all over the place, and then you got the marble slab truck. Come on over, say hi, grab some ice cream, second to none. We also got donuts and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So maybe we'll see you guys there. I'll be there starting at 12 o'clock this afternoon. So I got to get this podcast done before I do. And back to the same. We're jumping into this. I like this idea. We're going to take a trip around the NHL. We did the Toronto Maple Leafs last time, and I think it's fitting we hit the Montreal Canadiens next. We talk a little bit about that rivalry, some of the recent acquisitions, the recent trades. You got some signings in there, some trade rumors as well. So some interesting stuff happening in the realm of the Montreal Canadiens, and we're going to dive right in. And obviously the big one, acquiring Noah Dobson. Now, this is probably their biggest move thus far. Montreal bringing him in from the New York Islanders via a sign and trade. So Dobson signing that 8-year, $76 million, 9.5 AAV, massive contract extension. The Canadiens sending forward Emil Heineman and both of their first-round picks in next year's NHL draft. Sorry, that was this year's NHL draft. I apologize. 16th and 17th overall. So they gave up quite a lot to get this guy. We'll see how that pans out. It's a little bit of a gamble. I mean, obviously the Islanders were not willing to give him that kind of money. And that's why this deal ended up taking place, widely regarded as Montreal's boldest move. Dobson is a right shot, top pairing defenseman in his prime, and immediately updates Montreal's blue line with that long-term stability. And analysts have assigned this trade and signing high marks, grade A's for Montreal. Great job, guys. You did it. You found yourself that right-handed defenseman. So that's fantastic news for Montreal. Also, a couple of depth signings. Zachary Bolduc via a trade from the St. Louis Blues. Montreal acquired Zachary in exchange for prospect Logan Mailloux on July 1st. Now, Bolduc had scored 19 goals in his rookie NHL campaign and adds that scoring versatility and that future upside. So an exciting addition to the Montreal roster, bringing some of that scoring, bringing some of that youth, and just adding to a team that's got tons of youth already. And it's a scary potential that this Montreal squad has. I think they got a ton of potential. They got a ton of upside. And, you know, just to add to that, another one, you know, a goaltender re-signing, Jacob Dobes. July 7th, he gets re-signed, goaltender, to a 2-year deal worth $1.93 million total. So posted a 7.43 record in 16 games last season with a .909 save percentage and 1 shutout, ranking pretty well among the rookie netminders. So coming in that same atmosphere, they're looking to bring in those young, talented players and just keep growing. You know, there's no rush there in Montreal. They keep getting better every season, and it's exciting, you know, what they could potentially turn into here over the next coming years. And, of course, some other moves forward: Sean Farrell, Mark Delgaizo, Alex Belzile, Nate Klerman, veteran Capo Kakinen added as a goaltending depth after trading Candon Primo to Carolina. So lots of moves happening in Montreal, and I think one of the bigger ones that, you know, hasn't really been identified because it's not a move that's been made yet, but there's tons of talk about this Sidney Crosby trade rumor. Like, you know, does he find his way to the Canadiens? He loves Montreal, his favorite team growing up, so there's a lot of rumors there. His commitment to the Penguins remains firm, but Montreal is very interested in bringing him in as kind of that veteran presence, and we'll see if something surfaces there. Also, really quickly before I go, also, Joe Veleno signing that risk-free 1-year contract on July 16th, just a couple of days ago. So he brings that versatility down the middle addition that really brings that mid-depth for Montreal, bringing some pad, you know, some comfortability to that middle six. And, of course, Jacob Dobes, again, we talked about that. So interesting stuff happening in Montreal. I apologize, guys, for once again my continued deserted behavior on this podcast, but a crazy weekend for myself. I don't know how I'm going to do tomorrow. Don't know how I'm going to do on Monday. We'll see how things develop. I might not be able to get a podcast out in either of those 2 days. It's just crazy. I'm finishing work tonight at like 1 a.m. and I'm going back tomorrow at like 10. So I don't know that I have the time this weekend. I am continuing with the trip around the league. We got 2 done. 30 to go. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That was 7 Minutes with Simmons. Peace.